She taught third grade for 31 years. Every morning, the same classroom, the same chalk dust smell and the same 22 desks and the same ritual of taking attendance before the day could begin. She was not a wealthy woman. She never expected to be. What she had was something different, something she had built the way people of her generation built things. Slowly, carefully, over decades. $340,000. 31 years of setting aside a portion of every paycheck. 31 years of saying no to the vacation, and the new car, and the kitchen remodel because something more important was growing, quietly, in an account with a man named Richard Calloway managing it. She found out what had happened to her money on a Tuesday afternoon in her kitchen. She was 63 years old. She'd been retired for 4 months, and the account statement she was reading, the first one she had actually sat down and read closely in 11 years, did not make sense. What followed was not a mistake. It was not bad luck. It was not the market. It was 11 years of choices. Deliberate one. Made by a man who was paid more every time he moved her money somewhere worse. Her name was Dorothy Haines. 63 years old. 22 years in the same house in Dayton, Ohio. A widow since 2019. Her husband Frank had been a plumber, and together they had lived the kind of life where you paid your bills on time and saved what you could and tried not to want for things you could not afford. Dorothy was not naive. She was not uninformed. She simply trusted the man she had hired to understand the things she had not been trained to understand. She was a teacher. He was a financial advisor. That was the arrangement. That was supposed to be enough. Richard Calloway had been Dorothy's financial advisor for 11 years. He drove a clean car. He had a firm handshake. He sent Christmas cards, remembered her late husband's name, and always had an explanation for why her portfolio had underperformed again this quarter. The market, interest rates, sector volatility, words that sound like information, but feel, when you are the person receiving them, like weather reports from a country you have never visited. Dorothy nodded. She trusted him. She signed the forms he put in front of her. For 11 years. Let me tell you how Richard Calloway worked, because it is important to understand that what he did was not illegal in the way robbery is illegal. He did not break into her house. He did not forge her signature. He used something much more invisible. He used discretion. As Dorothy's advisor, Richard had discretionary authority over her accounts, which meant he could move her money without calling her first, without explaining each transaction, without asking. He had earned this authority. Dorothy had given it to him in writing, because she trusted him, and because that is what you do when you hire someone to do a job you do not know how to do yourself. Richard used that authority to move Dorothy's retirement savings into financial products that were not chosen because they were best for her. They were chosen because they paid Richard the highest commission. In the financial industry, this is called churning, or it is called unsuitable investment, or it is called breach of fiduciary duty. What Dorothy called it, sitting at her kitchen table 11 years later, was something else entirely. And she was right. The products Richard moved her into were annuities with high surrender charges, actively managed mutual funds with expense ratios 2 to 3 times higher than standard index funds, and insurance-linked investment products that generated upfront commissions of 6 to 8%, paid to Richard, deducted silently from Dorothy's balance. Every time Richard made a recommendation, Dorothy nodded. Every time he moved her money, she signed the authorization form he mailed to her. She did not know what she was authorizing. She trusted him to tell her if it mattered. He did not tell her, because it mattered enormously, and he knew it. On a Tuesday in September, 4 months after she retired, Dorothy sat down at her kitchen table to review her account statement. Not because she was suspicious, because she was finally, for the first time in years, not working. And she had time. And the statement had been sitting in a pile on the counter for 11 days, and she thought she should probably open it. She made herself a cup of tea. She sat down. She opened the envelope. The account balance was $217,000. She read it again. $217,000. She had started with $312,000 11 years ago. She had added contributions every single year since. She had never made a major withdrawal. The math did not work, not even close to working. She got out a notepad. She started writing down numbers. Principal contributed, years invested. Average market returns over the same period. If Dorothy's money had simply sat in a basic index fund, no special products, no active management, no advisor decisions at all, her account should have been worth somewhere between $550,000 and $620,000. Her account was worth $217,000. The gap, the difference between what should have been and what was $340,000. Dorothy sat at that kitchen table for a long time. She did not call Richard. She had learned, somewhere in the arithmetic of that afternoon, that the person she would normally call about a problem like this was the problem. She called her son instead. His name was Michael. He was an engineer in Cincinnati. He did not know anything about financial advising, but he knew his mother, and he knew how to be angry on her behalf. Michael Haines drove to Dayton the next morning. He sat at his mother's kitchen table with every account statement she had ever received from Richard Calloway, 11 years of them, pulled from a filing cabinet in the spare bedroom. Dorothy had kept every one. Michael spread them across the table in chronological order. He photographed every page on his phone. Then he started searching. He looked up every product Richard had placed Dorothy's money into. Every fund, every annuity, every insurance-linked investment. What he found took him 4 hours. By the end of those 4 hours, Michael Haines was not sitting at the table anymore. He was standing, because what he had found was not one bad recommendation. It was a pattern. Every time Richard had moved Dorothy's money, and he had moved it 14 times in 11 years, the new product had a higher commission than the product he replaced. The mutual funds he selected consistently ranked in the bottom quartile of their category for 5-year performance. The annuity he placed her into in 2017 carried a 7-year surrender period, meaning Dorothy could not access that money without paying a penalty for 7 years after she signed. She had been 60 years old when she signed. She had signed it anyway, because Richard had presented it as a safe, guaranteed product. He had not explained the surrender period. Michael called a securities attorney the following morning. Her name was Angela Torres. She had worked financial misconduct cases in Ohio for 14 years. Angela reviewed Michael's summary on a Friday afternoon. She called him back in 40 minutes. She said, "Mr. Haines, what you've described is textbook churning combined with unsuitable investment placement. Your mother has grounds to file a FINRA arbitration claim. I want you to bring me everything." Michael brought her everything. Every statement, every product document. A spreadsheet he had built himself over 2 days. Every transaction, every commission paid, every performance comparison against a basic S&P 500 index fund over the same period. Angela Torres added one more thing. She pulled Richard Calloway's FINRA broker check record, a public database. Anyone can search it. A record of every registered complaint, every regulatory action, every disclosure against a licensed advisor in the United States. Richard Calloway had 4 prior complaints on his record. 3 had been settled quietly. 1 had resulted in a written reprimand. He was still licensed. He was still managing clients' money. Dorothy had never been told to check this record. Nobody had suggested she might want to. Angela Torres filed a FINRA arbitration claim on Dorothy's behalf in January. The claim alleged unsuitable investment recommendations, excessive churning of the account, failure to disclose material conflicts of interest, and breach of fiduciary duty spanning 11 years. The claim named not just Richard Calloway, but the brokerage firm he worked for, Pinnacle Wealth Partners, a mid-sized firm operating in 6 Midwestern states with, it would emerge, a supervisory record that should have caught what Richard was doing years earlier. They had not caught it, or they had not looked. Richard Calloway called Dorothy 4 days after the filing. She answered. He did not apologize. He said, and she wrote this down word for word because she had been advised to document everything. Dorothy, I'm sorry you feel this way. I made the decisions I thought were best for your situation. The market has been unpredictable. These things happen. These things happen. $340,000. 31 years of a 3rd-grade teacher setting aside what she could. Frank's pension contributions. The decade without vacations. The kitchen that was never remodeled. These things happen. Dorothy told me that after that call, after she hung up and put the phone face down on the table, she sat for a moment. Then she picked up a pen. She wrote the date and the time. She wrote, he said, these things happen. She underlined it twice. And then she called Angela and read her exactly what Richard had said. The arbitration discovery process took 8 months. During that time, Angela's team requested Richard Calloway's complete client transaction records. Not just Dorothy's. Every account he had managed over the past 11 years. What they found expanded the case. 11 other clients. Some of them also retired. Some of them also in the same unsuitable products. Several of them also showing the same pattern. Money moved at the same intervals, into the same high-commission funds, generating the same stream of fees for Richard Calloway. FINRA opened a formal regulatory investigation in April, not just into the arbitration claim, into Richard Calloway's entire practice. The FINRA arbitration panel issued its award 14 months after the initial filing. Dorothy Haines was awarded $194,000, not the full $340,000. FINRA arbitration is not a perfect mechanism. The panel found in her favor on the churning claim and on the unsuitable annuity placement, but did not award the full gap between her actual returns and what a standard index fund would have produced. $194,000, plus legal fees, plus interest. It was not everything. Dorothy is clear-eyed about that. She will tell you, if you ask her, that $194,000 does not replace what 11 years of compound growth on her full retirement savings would have produced. but it is $194,000 more than Richard Calloway thought she would ever see. Pinnacle Wealth Partners was fined $2.1 million by FINRA in a separate regulatory action. They were required to implement enhanced supervisory protocols for all advisor accounts above a certain age demographic. Richard Calloway's license was suspended for 18 months. He was required to retake industry examinations before reinstatement. He was not banned. He is eligible to return to the industry. Dorothy has thought about that. She keeps them short. She says, "I hope the next client checks broker check first." $340,000. That is the number that launched a FINRA arbitration, a regulatory investigation, a $2.1 million fine, and a license suspension. That number belongs to one retired third-grade teacher in Dayton, Ohio, who made herself a cup of tea one Tuesday afternoon and sat down with a bank statement she had not read closely in 11 years. She got back $194,000 of it. The rest, the years of compounding she lost, the returns she never received, Frank's contributions that were quietly eroded by fees, those do not come back. What comes back is this. Dorothy Haines went back and read every document she had signed in the previous 11 years. Every product disclosure, every fee schedule, every authorization form. She said she understood perhaps 40% of it, but she read it, and she said, "I should have read it the first time. Not because I would have caught everything, but because it would have made him know that I was a person who read things." There is one thing this story asks of everyone watching it. Not a legal action, not an attorney, just this. Go to brokercheck.finra.org and search the name of whoever is managing your money. It is free. It takes 45 seconds, and it will tell you everything Richard Calloway's clients should have known before they signed anything. Dorothy wishes she had done it in 2013. She cannot do anything about 2013 now, but you can do it today. Every betrayal leaves a trail. Richard Calloway's trail was on a public database the entire time. This was one of them. Subscribe to Smoke and Betrayal. New stories every Tuesday and Friday. And tell me in the comments, have you ever checked your financial advisor's record?